What's up, my YouTube family? Mike, aka Crypto Jewels. It's been a while since I've updated a video here on YouTube. If you guys are following me on Twitter, you know that I am been very active, and I'm always fairly active on Twitter. If you are in my Discord, you know I'm active daily, and I do have a free Discord, so you can check the link out below to get into that if you are interested. So I've been wanting to do a video for a while on Bitcoin, and now I think is the best time because we are at a pivotal point, in my opinion, on Bitcoin. And there's a few things that I'd like to point out so we don't all get way overly excited and we can all anticipate the potential scenarios that we can expect to see unfold. So let's just hop straight into it here. All right. So we're going to start on my macro thesis. For those of you guys who have been following me for quite some time, this has not been invalidated. We have gotten extremely close to invalidating my macro thesis, but it technically has not been invalidated just yet. And as of right now, it's not looking like it's going to be invalidated, but I will jump into my alternate bear scenario here after we're finished looking at this, just in case it does turn against us and it does begin to become macro bearish again. Because obviously it is possible. We technically have not invalidated the bear scenario yet. So let's hop in and see what all we need to do in order to see that happen. So this is my macro thesis, is that this is a large impulse, and we currently have a 4-wave in, and we have one more impulse left to go, which will take us anywhere from 120 to 160K-ish, if indeed the bottom is in. This so far is looking really good. We've got a very explosive impulse as of right now off of the low. We'll dive into the micro here in just a minute. These, just so you know, these orange lines here, these are the halvings. I keep those on the chart just to kind of give me an idea of where we are in relation to the Bitcoin halving and how price reacts, based on the halving. And typically, as you guys can see, we usually start to front run the halving, if you will. Let's see, the bottom of the last cycle was 511 days. If this is the bottom, we're about 448 days. So, fairly close. Certainly possibly could be the bottom, and people are starting to front run the halving just like they did last time. But we will see what happens. Hopping into the first scenario here, which is that we potentially have a 5-wave impulse off of the low. This would be a 1 A, B, C, 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, sorry, you got a 1, 2. This would be a really tiny 4, 5 to put in your 3, and then your 4 and your 5. So if this is a legit 5-wave impulse off the low, and we have topped, we really need to hold this range here. In order for the impulse to be valid, a 5-wave impulse to be valid as a trend reversal and the start of a new trend, the start of a new impulse upwards, this would be a large 1-wave up if this is a 5. And if we can create basically an ABC correction, which is a 3-wave correction, and hold from 786 to 0.5, which is 17,000 to 19,300, that would be the pullback area to hold. And then we would have to, from there, impulsively break back above the top of this 5-wave in order for this to be a 1 and then a 2, and then we would be on our 3-wave. So that is what has to happen in order for our structure our downtrend structure to start to be flipped and the reversal to carry a lot more weight. So that's scenario one, is that we do have 5 waves in. I don't know if I really like this 5 wave. I mean, technically it follows the fibs pretty well. If you throw your fibs on here, you more than satisfy your 3 wave and your 4 and your 5 wave. 61618 is typical for 3 waves. Some people have this as a 1 wave here. I do not, but even if you do, we still hit 1618 perfectly, and then a 4 and then a 5. So, you know, regardless of where you put your 1 wave and where you draw your fibs from, I mean, there's from a fib standpoint and a wave standpoint, I think it's more than fair to say this is a complete 5 wave. I think there's probably more possibility that this is still an extension and a 3, or at least we just put our 3 in, which would be this count here, which would be our 1, 2, and then we're on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially putting our, I call that an alt 3 because this is an alternative 3 in comparison to the 5 being in here. So that's why I've got that labeled as alt 3. Oh, sorry. Yeah. This thing is in my way here. So going back, okay, so this count makes more sense to me personally, but we still need to hold in this scenario. If our 3 is in, this is the area we would need to hold, this 382. You could go down to 0.5, but I would prefer to see a 382 correction. That would be, you know, fairly normal for a 4 wave. And then you would have one more impulse up to finish your 5th wave. And then that would put in a full 5 waves. Now that 5th wave could do a lot of different things. It could extend, honestly, anywhere up from 30 to 35K if it acts like the macro bottom of the last cycle. Let me show you that. The cycle low back here. Where we get an extension, 1, 2, you could call that a 3, 4, and you could say it's an extended 5th. You know, you could probably say this is a 3, 4, and it was an extended 3rd. Doesn't really matter, I guess, how you count it exactly, but either way, it's a 5 wave impulse with an ABC down, holding your 2 and then breaking back above it, which then validates this impulse upwards, which is where we still are, in my opinion. So if we do get some sort of similar price action like this, you could potentially expect a move I'll take it from there to there. You potentially could expect a move over 31,000-ish. That would be a 1 wave extension roughly. You know, it could go anywhere from 31 to 35. Obviously, we all know this is crypto, and crypto operates in extremes. So it would not surprise me if we shot above 31 to 35K-ish before we begin our ABC correction down. So if this scenario holds true and we do top, say, at this 31 right here, our area to hold would be down here after we put this 5th wave in. So that would be around 18,000 to 22,000. So either way, regardless of what is happening, in my opinion, we are going to get a pullback. The way this starts to pull back here will really determine whether or not we are in this scenario or whether or not we are in this scenario. Again, I'm leaning towards this, which would mean this 20,800-ish would need to hold, and we would need to be corrective moving down here as well. If we start looking impulsive, then I would probably start to lean towards this and being an ABC. But until we get more price action developing, it's really hard to tell as of yet. But again, I lead towards this right now. So now that we've talked about the bullish scenario, and let's talk about the bear scenario. My alternate, which I was really starting to lean towards as we started to get deep, we got pretty darn deep, deeper than I would have liked to see in this scenario for this my macro thesis, which this has been my macro thesis since the very top. We did get really, really deep, and it opened up the door for me, at least, for this count here. So if we are in this count here, basically what we've got to me is we are still, this entire structure is actually more than likely a large corrective structure from the top, meaning that this, we never actually finished the bear market. This was like a 3, and this is an A, B, C, or some sort of WXY. But either way, regardless of all of that, if we do get that scenario, we're looking at a 1, 2. We have not finished our 3 yet, in my opinion, and are in a 1, 2, 3, a micro. We're still in the micro, just possibly finishing a flat in this micro or this larger degree 3 wave. So we would have a 5th wave down, and then we would have another 4th wave up, and then a final 5th wave down to possibly 10K or so, which could finish a correction if this is some sort of an ABC, or we could end up popping back up, getting to a B wave here, and then having a real nasty C wave correction, which could take us all the way down to $6,000 or $7,000. So this would be the bear scenario. In order to invalidate this scenario, we need one of these scenarios to play out, where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we hold our 2 wave and then break back above it. And we really need to do that above resistance. So resistance would be basically here. So if we can have a 5 wave impulse above resistance and break back above it, then this scenario is invalidated. If we do, unfortunately, break back below, 17,000, really from here, if we broke back below 17,000, 16,281, 887, that would be an extremely deep 2 wave. I wouldn't like it if we broke below 17K. That would really start to raise flags that we are in this scenario here. Obviously, if we do breach the low and make a lower low, this is my count, and this is the scenario that we're in. So let's see what happens. But hope you all are having fun, and at least hope you guys enjoyed some profits here on this nice move up. If so, it's always good to lock in profits. See y'all later.